Hi, welcome to the video. My name is Dychronic, and today we're going to be talking about the Xur, his location, his random rolls, and my recommendations for April 1st. Dang it, I always forget to make an April 1st video. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll make a tweet at some point. You can find the Xur in his regular place in the Watcher's Grave, and I realize that many people may not believe me when I take a look at the Xur, but yeah, he's here on Nessus in the Watcher's Grave. This is a high overview, in case this is all you cared about. And there's a number of interesting weapons here that I'm looking forward to taking a look at. First up for the weapon today, we have the Tractor Cannon. Actually a very, very good weapon. I don't often use it anymore because I find that there are other weapons that are better than it. Although in PvP, I believe it's in the top 10 nearly every season. First of all, it's like a shotgun in the heavy slot that's very wide, and it causes the enemy to be suppressed. And suppressed enemies obviously cannot do nearly as much as they can do before, so you can hit people off of the edge, which also pushes enemies. This is also very useful against enemy supers, because you just turn them off. And there's a pretty decent range that this thing hits at, although it won't kill for very far, it will definitely hit and suppress the target. In PvE, it weakens the target, which makes them take more damage from all sources. Not just Void anymore, that was many seasons ago, it's now a weaken effect for everything. Although obviously somewhat shotgun range, so somewhat dangerous in the higher level. After that, for the Hunter exotic, we have the OATHKEEPER, an exotic that on paper doesn't really do that much, is often used whenever people are using Le Monarch for the extra poison effect in Trials of Osiris, where bows and this particular exotic actually do excel. Although I generally see this as something that you can just learn the cadence of the bow, be able to release and pull again. This does make it a little bit easier, and there are basically no other exotics you'd use with a bow on a hunter. And in PvE, there's basically no use. I mean, Le Monarch maybe, but we honestly, if we get a special ammo bow, maybe we'll talk. Up next after that, we have the Titan exotic known as HELM of Saint 14. This used to be used a lot more frequently when Bubble was more powerful, but ever since people learned about Ursa Furiosa, they stopped using this nearly as much. In my opinion, this is one of those exotics that's good, but is often misused. If you haven't heard of it, targets that enter the Ward of Dawn are blinded, which really helps if the enemy pushes onto you, like in a Grandmaster Nightfall, and allies that pass through the bubble also get a Void Overshield that they can take with them outside of it. Now here's the problem. When you're doing a raid and you put down a bubble for DPS, you're not actually using the benefits of Saint 14 for the actual phase, because there's no enemies around, there's no point. The point of this is to make the enemies not be able to take you down when you're in the bubble. So overall, I would definitely say either top 10 or nearly top 10 exotic, just not nearly as powerful as Bubble is. And for the Warlock exotic, we have what I would call the best Warlock exotic in the game. Specifically, this is more of a PvE exotic. It's like a 9 out of 10 in PvE and 7 out of 10, I believe, in PvP. Keep in mind that the Warlock top 10 is coming up literally this weekend. This exotic is amazing, especially with Void 3.0, it's basically become the top dog. If you haven't heard of it, resist incoming damage while charging any of your Void grenades. Specifically, I like it with Chaos Accelerant that makes your grenades better. And charged Void grenades also return a random amount of grenade energy on hit. Now this is around like 30 to 80%. I think they did update it to make it a tighter zone in the middle. Essentially, any hit with your grenade. Not a kill, not any fanciness, any hit. Meaning that it's good for red bars, for majors, for champions, for boss damage, and you get so much grenade energy back. You combine this with grenade mods, elemental well mods, and you're getting your grenade really, really frequently. And of course, if you're using Chaos Accelerate, that grenade is a lot stronger. Moving on, let's take a look at the different legendary weapons. First up, for the Gnawing Hunger, we have Zen Moment Zen Moment and Rampage. It also has Tac Mag, which is a decent option, although I'd like to see a lot more range options here, like Accurize, maybe Range Masterwork, Small Bore, but definitely these two perks are very good, and I love this particular weapon. It has amazing stats. After that, the Death Adder, which is Dynamic Eye of the Storm. Essentially, this got replaced by the Funnel Web, and I would not recommend this weapon nor this particular role. After that, we have Extra Rendi, which is firmly planted one for all, one of my favorite SMGs in the game. However, not the best role for it. Not a terrible role, has Small Bore, Appended, Stability, although it can actually have Frenzy, which is really, really good, and I highly recommend the Frenzy role. It's just so much fun. After that, with the Wishbringer, Snapshot, seems like a PvP role. And it does have Small Bore, Accurize, Slice Shot, Snap, and Range Masterwork. You definitely would like to see Full Choke here, but this is very close to being one of the best that you can have for this particular shotgun for PvP. After that, the Ikelos, Moving Target Disruption Break, not what you're looking for. Does not have Assault Mag, definitely not a good version. We have the Temptations Hook, which is Energy Transfer Vorpal. Decent combo, I like Relentless plus Vorpal, so it is pretty close, but not enough, and it does not have Jagged, which is what also you want. And finally, we have the Swarm, which is a 360, so slow fire rate dynamic, plus Dragonfly. Again, not what you're looking for. I definitely like to see more magazine stuff or more damage stuff like Vorpal on this particular kind of weapon. After that, the legendary armors, they're all the exact same distribution, same number, so there's not much to say. And finally, we have, of course, the Hawkmoon and DMT. First up, for the Hawkmoon, we have the Hipfire Grip. If you prefer hip firing with this particular weapon, you could find some use out of this, but I generally prefer to have rangefinder or opening shot on this particular weapon. It also has small bore, which is a decent upgrade, although I do like the ones that have recoil direction, things like extended barrel, chambered compensator. I think Arrowhead Break has it to get that perfect 100. So not really a great one. I would not personally recommend this particular version. After that, we have the DMT with Subsistence, which is a decent PvE and maybe even PvP perk to have. Small bore is pretty good, armor piercing rounds, and of course composite stock, which is stability and handling. Not a bad roll. I would say this is probably like a B to A roll. There are better options, but it's pretty damn good. And again, I just wanted to say this ornament. Beautiful. And of course, the exotic engram will give you an exotic you've never seen before, and it's going to be a high stat roll. So every time you get one of these in the wild and from the Xur, it's a high total stats. And this is actually a pretty good roll, and it is a stasis roll, which might fit well with this one. This is actually a 66 base roll, so I think mine is better, but you know, you win some, you lose some. Oh yeah, I have an exotic cipher. If you have already gotten all the stuff from the archive, you can actually spend exotic cipher on more exotics, so you can get more useless exotics that you'll never use at a high stat roll. Hey! And if you haven't seen it already, I do live stream right here on YouTube right after these Xur videos, as well as all the times on screen right now. Oftentimes doing open lobbies for the raids, including Vow of Disciple. Once I get my head wrapped around how to do it, I'll be doing lots of raid carries and of course Grandmasters next week, if I'm high enough level. And of course, a big thank you to my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom and Dad, Chris Thompson, Kellyanne, Ostruck, Jacob Berg, Monday, Stu Bachman, Sweetie Panther, and Casey Reagan for the support on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name is Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.